Hey everyone, ready for another deep dive. Today we're all about boat electronics, specifically marine electronics repair, and we're focusing on Florida. So whether you're thinking about upgrading your boat, maybe you're dealing with a little electronics issue, or maybe you just want to learn more about all the tech that keeps a boat running smoothly, you're in the right place. Now, what really caught my eye is this blog post from Concord Marine Electronics. They're based in Fort Lauderdale, and get this, they have a whopping 155 five-star Google reviews.
Wow.
I know, right?
That's impressive.
Makes you wonder, are they really that good?
That many positive reviews, it definitely says something. But, reviews can be helpful, sure, but I think it's always good to dig a little deeper, too.
Absolutely. Reviews are just one piece of the puzzle. So let's go beyond those glowing reviews. Look into what Concord actually does. They offer a whole range of services, repairs, installations, the whole 9 yards, which means they're working with the latest and greatest systems and also those older ones that might need a little more, TLC.
That's a really good point. Working across such a wide range of technology like that,
Yeah.
It really does suggest they've got some serious expertise. I mean, a technician who can handle a brand new autopilot system, but also troubleshoot a finicky radar from a few years back. That's someone you want to know.
For sure. It's not just about swapping out parts, right? It's understanding how all these systems actually work together on a boat. And speaking of systems, Concord specializes in some big names, Raymarine, Garmin, Furuno. They even work with JL Audio for sound systems and even Flir for thermal imaging.
Those are some of the biggest players in marine electronics. It's kind of like taking your car to a mechanic who specializes in German engineering versus one who works on everything. There's a certain level of specialized knowledge there that's really valuable.
Totally makes sense. So if I'm a sailor, right, and I'm looking to upgrade my navigation system, why would Raymarine be a good choice for me? What are the benefits there?
Well, Raymarine is known for their systems being super reliable, robust, particularly for sailboats.
Yeah.
Their autopilots, for example, they're specifically designed to handle the demands of sailing. Features like wind vane steering, which helps you maintain a more efficient course. And of course, you're saving fuel too. And their chart plotters, they integrate really well with sailing-specific instruments. So you're getting a comprehensive view of all your navigation data. So as a sailor, those are features that can make a big difference.
I see. So it's all about understanding the nuances of each brand and how they fit different boating needs.
Exactly. And another thing that stood out to me about Concord is their emphasis on NMEA-certified technicians. That's a really big deal in this industry.
NMEA, that does sound familiar. Can you remind me what that stands for and why it's so important?
NMEA, it stands for the National Marine Electronics Association. They set the standards for marine electronics installation and repair and their certification program. It ensures that technicians really understand these systems inside and out.
So it's more than just hooking up wires. It's about understanding how everything works together, making sure it's done safely and correctly.
Exactly. An NAEA-certified technician has basically proven their knowledge and skills to an independent body.
Yeah.
Which gives you, the boat owner, more confidence in their work.
That's reassuring, especially when we're talking about systems that are crucial for safety out on the water. Speaking of safety, I noticed Concord's blog post also mentions regular maintenance. And I have to admit, I've been guilty of neglecting that in the past. Have you seen any cases where lack of maintenance has led to some, serious problems?
Oh, absolutely. One that comes to mind is a boater who had his entire electrical system fail. And it was all because of corroded connections. He hadn't bothered to check or clean them in years, and the salt water just slowly ate away at the terminals. It ended up being a really expensive repair that could have been avoided with some basic preventative maintenance.
Yikes, that's a lesson learned. So what would you say are the must-dos for boaters, when it comes to electronics maintenance?
Well, at the very least, I'd say a thorough inspection at the beginning and end of each boating season. That means checking all the connections for corrosion, cleaning the components, making sure your software is up to date.
Okay, that sounds doable. What about software updates? I'm guessing those aren't as simple as updating my phone apps.
You're right, it can be a bit more complicated. Some systems can be updated via Wi-Fi or USB drive. Others need connecting to a computer. Sometimes you even have to call in a technician. But these updates are important. They often include bug fixes, performance improvements, even new features sometimes.
Okay, so we've talked about finding a good technician. Someone who really knows their stuff when it comes to different marine electronics brands, and the importance of certifications like NMEA. But let's switch gears for a bit and talk about something that's becoming super popular with boaters these days: satellite internet.
Yeah, it's a game changer for sure. No more struggling with those spotty cell signals or relying on shore-based Wi-Fi when you're out on the water. Satellite internet really opens up a ton of possibilities.
Oh, I can imagine. Being able to stream movies, video chat with family, even working remotely from your boat, it's pretty tempting.
It is, and one of the most talked about providers right now is Starlink Maritime, developed by, you guessed it, Elon Musk's SpaceX.
Starlink, yeah. I've heard about their residential internet service. I didn't realize they had a maritime offering as well.
They do, and it's specifically designed to give you high-speed, low-latency internet to boats, no matter where you are in the world.
So how does it work? Are we talking about like tiny satellites beaming Wi-Fi signals down to my boat from space?
Well, it does involve a network of satellites orbiting the Earth, but it's a little more sophisticated than just beaming Wi-Fi. Basically, your boat would have a Starlink antenna. It's a small dish-shaped device that you mount on deck. And this antenna communicates with those Starlink satellites, which relay the internet signal back and forth.
Okay, so no magic Wi-Fi beams, but still pretty impressive technology.
Yeah. And one of the things that sets Starlink Maritime apart is the speed. We're talking download speeds of up to 220 milligps, which is significantly faster than most other maritime satellite internet options out there.
Wow, 220 milligps. That's even faster than my home internet.
It is. And the low latency means you can do things like video calls and even online gaming without those annoying delays you often get with satellite internet.
So for boaters who need a solid internet connection, whether it's for work or just having fun, Starlink Maritime seems like a pretty good option. But let's be real, satellite internet has always been pretty expensive. What kind of investment are we talking about here?
Good question. The upfront cost for the Starlink Maritime hardware, which includes the antenna and mounting equipment, is about $2,500.
Okay, so that's a decent chunk of change right there.
It is, but the monthly service fee is actually pretty competitive at $135 per month.
So you're paying a premium for the hardware, but the ongoing costs are more reasonable.
Right. And when you consider the speed, the reliability, the global coverage that Starlink Maritime offers, it can be a worthwhile investment for those boaters who really need to stay connected.
There's got to be a catch though, right? It can't all be perfect.
Well, you're right. There are some things to keep in mind. Starlink Maritime is still relatively new, and the coverage isn't completely global yet. They're always launching new satellites, so coverage is expanding quickly. But there might be some areas, particularly in more remote parts of the ocean, where it's not available just yet.
So if you're planning a transatlantic crossing, you might want to double check that coverage map before setting sail.
Exactly. But for most coastal and near-shore boating, Starlink Maritime is a good option.
Okay, so this is all super interesting, but how does this connect back to Concord Marine Electronics? Do they have some kind of partnership with Starlink?
They do. In fact, Concord is one of the leading installers and service providers for Starlink Maritime in Florida. They've got the expertise to properly install the antenna, make sure you're getting the best signal, and they can troubleshoot any issues that might come up.
So if you're in Florida and you like the idea of having high-speed internet on your boat, Concord seems like the place to go.
Well, they do have that impressive track record with all those 5-star reviews.
Right. Those reviews were what got us interested in them in the first place. It'd be interesting to see if any of those reviews specifically mention their Starlink Maritime installations.
That's a great idea. It's always helpful to see what other boaters are saying, those who have firsthand experience.
Speaking of firsthand experience, have you heard any feedback from boaters who have actually used Starlink Maritime? Is it living up to the hype?
The feedback I've seen has been really positive. Boaters are raving about the consistent connectivity, even in areas where they used to have trouble with cell signals or other satellite internet providers. I remember reading a review from a sailor who used Starlink Maritime to stay connected while he was cruising in the Bahamas. He said it totally changed his trip. He could stream music, download weather updates, even video chat with his family back home.
That's awesome. Being able to stay connected like that while you're exploring the islands, it's a whole new level of freedom and convenience. It's like taking a little piece of home with you wherever you go.
Exactly. And it's not just about entertainment or staying in touch with family. For boaters who work remotely or rely on internet access for navigation and safety, Starlink Maritime can be essential.
It's like having your office, your entertainment center, and your communication hub, all in one little antenna.
Exactly. And as the coverage gets better and the technology keeps improving, I think we're only just beginning to see what's possible with satellite internet on boats.
I'm excited to see what the future holds. Okay, so we've covered repairs, certifications, and now satellite internet. I'm sensing a theme here. It's all about finding the right experts and the right technology to make your boating experience better.
Absolutely. And speaking of making your boating experience better, there's one more area we haven't talked about yet, audio systems. Because what's a day out on the water without a great soundtrack?
All right, let's turn it up for this last part of our deep dive. We've talked about finding the right experts for those tricky repairs, the whole NMEA certification thing, and even dove into satellite internet so you can stay connected out at sea. But now for something a little more fun, marine audio systems.
Yeah, gotta have some tunes.
Absolutely. And, earlier we were talking about Concord Marine Electronics and all those amazing reviews they have. Well, they're big on JL audio systems, which is a brand I've always thought of as, high-quality car audio.
You're right, JL Audio does have a fantastic reputation in the car audio world.
Yeah.
And they've taken that same quality and durability and brought it to the marine environment. Their speakers and subwoofers, they're built specifically to handle the tough stuff. Salt spray, UV exposure, moisture, all that.
Makes sense. I mean, regular car speakers probably wouldn't last long out on the water. So what are the big differences, between marine-grade speakers and the ones we'd find in our cars?
Well, the materials are different, for one thing. Marine speakers use those corrosion-resistant components, stainless steel for the mounting hardware, special coatings on the cones to protect them from moisture and UV damage. And they're also designed to handle all that vibration and shock that comes with being on a boat, so they're built to be a lot tougher.
So it's not just about good sound, it's about being able to handle the elements and all the other stuff that comes with being on a boat.
Exactly. And JL Audio doesn't just, slap a waterproof label on the regular speakers and call it a day. They've got a whole line of speakers designed for different boats and different uses. They have speakers for open cockpits, that can project sound over the wind and engine noise. Tower speakers for wakeboarding boats. Got to have that clear, powerful audio even at high speeds. And even compact speakers for smaller spaces like cabins and helm stations.
Wow. So there's more to it than I thought. It's not just about picking a brand, it's about picking the right kind of speaker for your boat and how you're going to use it.
Exactly. And just like those other electronic systems we talked about, it's got to be installed, right?
Yeah.
You have the best speakers in the world. But if they're not installed properly, they're not going to sound their best.
And that's where a specialist like Concord comes in, right? They don't just sell you the stuff, they know how to install it correctly. Make sure everything works perfectly with your boat's electrical system.
Exactly. They can help you put together a system that meets your needs. Whether you want something simple, a few speakers, or a more complex multi-zone system where you can control the music in different parts of the boat.
Okay, so let's say I'm thinking about upgrading my boat's sound system. What are some of the things I should ask myself or a specialist like Concord to make sure I'm getting the right system?
Well, first off, think about how you use your boat. Do you mostly do day trips, or are you spending weekends, longer periods on board? Do you like to entertain, or is it more about just relaxing with family?
Right. How I use my boat is definitely going to affect what kind of audio setup I need.
For sure. And think about your budget, too. Marine audio systems can range from a few $100s to thousands, depending on how complex it is and the quality of the components.
Right. And I'm guessing size is important, too? Wouldn't want to put huge speakers in a small cabin?
Exactly. And that's another reason why working with a specialist can be helpful. They can look at your boat's layout, understand what you need, and recommend a system that fits your space and your budget.
Finding that balance right. Good sound, good functionality, and it's got to look good too.
Yep. And of course, your own taste in music matters too. Some people are all about that bass, others want clear vocals.
So if I go to Concord, I should be ready to talk about my music and how I see myself using the system.
Absolutely. The more they know about what you like and how you use your boat, the better they can help you choose the right system.
This has been great. I really learned a lot about marine audio systems. I think my old boat stereo might need an upgrade.
Well, if you're ever in Fort Lauderdale, Concord is worth checking out. But wherever you are, remember to find a good specialist, someone who knows what they're doing. It's key for any marine electronics project, whether it's a repair, an upgrade, or getting a whole new audio system.
Totally agree. Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into the world of marine electronics. We covered it all: repairs, certifications, satellite internet, and even how to get the best sound on your boat.
It's been a fun ride.
Hope you all learned something new and maybe got some ideas for your own boat. Whether you're a seasoned boater or just starting out, there's always more to learn about marine electronics.
Definitely. And with the right knowledge and the right people helping you, you can be sure your boat's electronics are working for you, keeping you safe, comfortable, and having a blast out on the water.
Until next time, happy boating, everyone.